How to make an effective podcast for content marketing. Podcasting is a great medium for content marketing. It allows you to interact with your customers, engage them in real time, and build connections with them. The key is to make sure that your podcast is effective so that it can achieve all of these things. If you're looking to increase the effectiveness of your content marketing strategy, you should definitely consider creating a podcast. As we've said, podcasts are an excellent way to engage with your customers and expand your reach through a medium that they love. With that, here are some tips on how to create an effective podcast. First and foremost, go with the flow. You don't need to script out every word of your podcast or do research beforehand. Just go with the flow of the conversation and let your natural personality shine through. Secondly, keep your podcast short and sweet. People don't want to sit around for hours listening to a podcast, so keep it short and sweet so people will listen again in the future. The key here is to keep things simple and straightforward. You don't want your listeners to get confused about what you're trying to say or do something they may regret after listening. Also, don't go over their heads. Keep things at an appropriate level for your target audience. Next, be sure to use a variety of voices. If you're interviewing several different people, be sure that each person has their own voice. It'll make them easier to identify and remember later on down the line when they come back into the picture again. Fourth, don't be afraid to use humor. Humor helps engage your audience and make them more likely to listen all the way through your podcast, and maybe even share it with friends. Also, adding humor can make it easy for you to relate to your audience on a more personal level. When creating a podcast for your content marketing strategy, you need to research what topics are relevant to your audience. Then, try to make sure that each episode of your podcast has a clear focus and purpose. Finally, make sure that each episode ends with a call to action for listeners. What can they do next? How can they get involved? What's the next step? These are all key to making an effective podcast. Create effective podcasts with these easy tips. Visit linkdaddy.shop now to learn more about content marketing and content marketing services.